Are rentals dead in 2026? I was part of a three-way conversation with Ryan Pineda, Brian Davila, and of course myself. That video has been making the rounds on YouTube, and Casey had a nice chance to watch it. So we're going to riff on what she took from that, any questions, and of course we're going to answer the big question: are rentals dead in 2026? What say you, Casey?
I think that, those two guys who I've met, I've been on, their shows, and they're kind of in a different place than most people. And I think that as you grow up and you make more money and you evolve with the real estate investing, your strategies change. When you have more money, your strategies change. When you have big audiences, you can do different things. So I agree with, some of the things they said. I really agree more with your point of view with it. But overall, rentals are not dead. It's just not what it once was a long time ago. I mean, even, 15 years ago when I was living in California, there were cash flowing opportunities there. I remember I made, and we never really went all the way, but I made over 40 offers on properties in the Inland Empire in Southern California. Houses were $146,000, $170,000, and I could have cash flowed. I didn't go through with them because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't have any help and I was new, like most people's fears and why they don't start. So I never went through it, but there was cash flow there. Those same houses now that were in Fontana, California, that were 140 to 170,000 are now 500 and 600,000 plus, and no, they aren't going to cash flow anymore. I should have bought them. Okay. And that's just kind of how it goes. So no, can you just make tons of offers and scoop up houses every which way and just cash flow out the wazoo and make it just the most amazing thing? No. You can. It's just not like that anymore. But that doesn't mean that rentals are dead. They are there. You just have to change strategies. You have to be more open-minded, and things just don't stay the same long-term. And I believe that goes with literally any industry.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about rental properties. Again, I bought at least one rental property for 21 years in a row, but everybody wants to talk about the GFC. And there's a couple of thoughts there. First, my biggest move, the one that set Olivia and I up to retire early, was actually 2006. In 2006, guys, if you don't recall, real estate was still doing this, right? It was still, going up and to the right. And I sold everything. I sold all my houses in 1031 into apartment buildings. That's the single move that really set us on a new trajectory. Yes, we were active during the GFC, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think people lose sight that, the one rental at a time guy actually sold all his single family homes because I thought they were overvalued. And what you should take from this is I'll do that again. If we ever get to a point where single families are grossly overvalued, I promise you, I will sell everything. I've done it before and happy to do it again. We're just not there. Now the GFC, again, a lot of people talk about prices like Fontana, 150, 160K, whatever they were, wherever you are. What people don't realize about 06, kind of looking backwards, is how scared everybody was. And that's why prices went low. And the other thing you don't realize is banks were not lending. So, we had to go hard money and pay 12%, ultimately 10% interest. And we still had to come up with 35% down on everything because they wanted equity at purchase price. They didn't care about appraisers. It was like whatever the appraisal is or the purchase price, the lower of two things. So again, I think it's such a cop-out for people to say, oh, you bought in 06 or 08 or 10 or whatever. Not to realize that it's been 21 years of making moves. The other thing is, and hopefully it came across in that video, is I've only had one buy box. I never changed my city. I never changed my type. And you just get economies of scale. And when you bounce all over the country and then you change vehicles, you're going to be stressed out. It's and we never really got to that conversation. And then the last thing, one of the big things I suffered with Brian was he likes to say he's looking at a lot of deals, and he probably is. But I think he's looking at too many deals. Because how can you compare Airbnbs in Big Bear, with Section 8 rentals in Kansas City, with long-term rentals in Las Vegas, and flips over here and here. It's like you're doing too much. You're building a foundation that's not solid.
They're chasing the quick money, chasing the shiny object syndrome, chasing what's going to get the views and the likes and what's the new thing today. It's like there's something always better out there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to find it. I'm so awesome. I'm going to find this better opportunity that's going to be quicker, faster, easier, cheaper, less risk. And then you bounce around from thing to thing and you never really get good at any one thing. You're just not patient. And like, I feel like every week I'm like, social media ruins it for everyone, but really kind of does. I mean, back then, investing in real estate was not, people didn't grow up wanting to be a real estate investor like that. You grow up, you get your job, you make your good money, and then you invest it in real estate. And it is your wealth building tool. It's not your job. Honestly, Michael, when I got on social media for real estate in end of 2019, 2020, I was so floored to find out that people grew up wanting to be real estate investors. And I don't mean growing up, and I mean people that have regular jobs are like, I want to quit and I want to be a real estate investor to make money. It's like, you want to knock on doors full time? You want to cold call? You want to send out mailers? And I really felt like I didn't really fit in with for several years. And I'm finally getting out of that shell, because to me, I never wanted to be a full-time real estate investor. Heck, I'm using real estate investing so I don't have to do anything full-time. I just want to, make my money however I want to make it using your job and invest in real estate. People want to use real estate as their day job, and that could be fine. But I think that that's kind of what Ryan and Brian are thinking, we're going to use this as our money maker. Long-term rentals isn't a day job. That's where you use your money from your W-2 job to invest for security so you can retire early. It is a 10-year plan. It takes a while. Do real estate investors, are rental properties dead today? Well, they never really were what you were trying to make them be in the first place. You can get them that way if you want to do the Burr method, but even that, if you're doing the Burr method, you're doing that in the worst neighborhoods that have low to no appreciation, where you can't raise rents, where you have very high tenant turnover and tons of costs in between because tenants are trashing your houses and theft. They're trying to make rentals into something that they never really were meant to be made into. And I think social media really blows it up, and people want to sell their thing as get rich quick tomorrow. But that's, in my opinion, that's not really what rentals were meant to be in the first place.
Yeah. For me, one of the most glaring differences between the three of us is I believe both of them were trying to replace active income. And exactly. I was simply trying to get wealthy. And again, if you read my book, my whole story was I just wanted 4. And again, why did I want 4? Because I started at 30. I thought I could have 4 by 35. And then in 30 years, they would have been paid off. That was my grand vision. And again, what would that have meant? That would have meant I probably had an extra $1 million to $2 million in equity or net worth that I could have sold, I could have refied, I could have done whatever I wanted. That was my vision. And I think there's a lot of us who just want to build wealth slowly. I saw a comment the other day that said something like, hey, there's a lot of flipping shows on TV. Are there any buy and hold shows? And I'm like, sorry, son, it's too boring and too slow. Too boring. You can't, it's not made for TV. No. And frankly, that's why I do it. Yeah. I already got caught up in the wave of the .com craziness, and I successfully turned $7,000 into almost $200,000. Sweet. And then I lost it all. I'm not doing that again. Yeah. I won the game. I'm not, I stopped playing. Yeah. And I want that for everybody. And again, this is not about replacing active income. It's get rich for sure, not quick. What do you think?
Amen. That's what it's always been, which again, why I was so floored that people wanted to turn long-term rentals into their active income business. And I'm like, how are people doing this? And they wanted to sell you a program on how to like replace your income. And when I talk to people who want to get their first rental, you know, I try to make it pretty clear, like this isn't going to get you out of your job in 18 months. You know, this, you know, especially if you want to buy rentals the right way in the right neighborhoods that are going to make you the most money over time. This is a long-term game plan. And if you can learn how to buy in the right neighborhoods, quality properties that attract quality tenants with low tenant turnover costs, so you're not getting phone calls all the time, even from your tenants or your property manager. That's the goal. Really, your long-term rentals, your tenants are there to keep your asset in good shape while appreciation does its thing. You get the loan pay down, all that. And yes, you get your income, you're getting the cash flow, and it will be more and more and more and more and more and more and more over time as rents go up. But it's really hard to force, you know, quitting your full-time 6-figure job with long-term rentals in 3 years. You know, yeah, if you want to put 100% down or a substantial amount down, if you've got the money to do that, but if you're trying to, you know, 20% down and all that, like, you know, isn't really going to happen. It's get rich for sure. And I remember I went through that, you know, the 2008 market crash. I was a real estate investor, an agent, helped working with investors. I saw a lot of people lose it all. And that's one reason why I don't chase any of those fancy things. Like real people I saw that I worked with that had portfolios of properties that were living large, lost it all. Property values dropped 40%. They owed more than they would it would take 10 years. I mean, it kind of happened a little sooner than 10 years for the money, you know, the price to go back. It wasn't quite 10-year recovery, but you know, it just didn't make sense. They couldn't hold it. And a lot of them were buying for appreciation even then. And they were already negative every single month. So they got out. They went bankrupt. Foreclosures up the wazoo, even for investors. I remember selling short sales. I got short sale certified so I could sell short sales. I mean, I saw people lose it all, even with the 401ks.
Yeah, I did too.
And that's not for me. I don't care what shiny object anyone wants to try and throw at me on Instagram or YouTube. Not falling for it. I'm too old for that.
Yeah, I'm too old to start over, right? I don't want to start over again.
Nope.
And it's the quick money that often does that. I wrote about it in my first book, One Rental at a Time. There was a guy in my company who took me into his office and he drew on the whiteboard that he could afford 4 negative cash flow properties, right? This was after Katrina. And they were doing some kind of special tax savings or some nonsense. And sure enough, he bought all 4. And, you know, the downturn comes and he lost them all. I think 1 foreclosure and 3 short sales, something like that. Again, it's if you lose discipline, you get short-term debt, it's going to blow up. And that's what's going to happen again. We're on the cusp of a big blow up in apartments and multifamily and commercial debt. For the same reasons, 3-year IO, short-term debt, it's going to be spectacular, the losses and the opportunity. So again, it's pretty cool. The other thing that really took me aback, and I'd love to ask you this, Ryan and Brian both were kind of poo-pooing making 20 grand a year. They were like that, or no, sorry, 20 grand a month. Yeah. They were like 20 grand a month to nothing. And I'm like, guys.
Well, look at who they are. Like I said, they make a crap ton of money. Okay. A lot of money. They are in a different headspace than every regular person out there.
Yeah.
I mean, even for wealthy people, like, I don't know about Brian, but Ryan is like not in anyone's, you know, universe or atmosphere anymore.
Not in mine. Yeah. He's way up there.
I mean, isn't his mortgage 20 grand a month or something? Like it's something.
I think he said 16 or something. Yeah, he said
something like that from what I've heard him say before. So, you know, no, that's not a lot of money for him. But for most people.
It is for most people, right?
It's laughable and a pipe dream for many people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it costs. You have like a family of 5, right? 3 kids, you and your husband, family of 5. I can imagine. I'm just going to guess you live on less than 20K a month now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just, there are so few people that I know that couldn't survive on their current lifestyle on 20 grand a month. It annoys me to no end that we kind of poo-poo that is unacceptable. And then that just goes back. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that goes back to the final thing is I believe Ryan and Brian are entrepreneurs selling a vision, a dream, burn the boats, quit your job, come be like me. And again, that will work for some, but it will not work for most.
No. And most people don't want to do what's required.
That's so they work so hard. Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, it's not, most people have a family, they have a spouse, they have hobbies, they have a job that they kind of like, or, you know, they're just fine with it. And they would like to have the option to retire early. They would like to see a path out. Yes, they'd love to escape the rat race, but they are not, you know, thinking that they're going to be some 18-year-old millionaire with a Lamborghini. They realize that things take hard work. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And most people know that if you want to get somewhere in life, and if you want to invest, it takes money to invest. And I think most people are willing to accept the fact that, yeah, it takes money to invest in real estate. And I'm not going to get there with no money down, bad credit, and using other people's money and buying houses on credit cards. I mean, does that irk me? Yes, it can happen. It happens all the time, but not for everybody. And if you want something that works for everybody, it's save your money, invest in a high quality rental property in a high quality market that's going to appreciate, attract quality tenants, and make your life easy. And the goal really isn't to make more money. It is, but it is to keep more of the money that you are earning with those properties. You know, you can make a lot on paper, you know, as I'm playing with a little piece of paper, you can make a lot on paper, but it's going to go to the wayside when you have to pay for stolen air conditioners and domestic violence. So people move out and all these things. Like, save your pennies, invest in high quality real estate and high quality neighborhoods with high quality tenants as best as you can afford. And it will be easy street for you. Just watch the money roll in over time, just by one a year. It's easy. You can do it.
It's a decade, folks.
Anyone can do that.
Yes, I love it. Casey, you're amazing. You're coming out to the Vegas event in a couple of weeks. Thank you for that. Where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth, where I put out real estate videos every single week, once or twice a week, whatever I can do. You can also find me on Instagram, Brick by Brick Wealth. And if you're interested in getting coaching on your first rental property, that's what I help with in my free time. And you can get more info on my website. Guess what? Brickbybrickwealth.com.
You did a great job. Everything is Brick by Brick Wealth.
Thank
you so much.